This is the all-new 2021 Mazda BT-50 4x4 double cab pickup. We're here in a relatively secluded warehouse environment to get a quick look at the car before it is formally revealed to the public. So I apologise in advance for any weird air conditioning noises you can hear, but let's take a close-up look at this car, which certainly puts the Mazda as a cat amongst the pigeons. Right, well, the current or previous BT-50, whichever way you want to look at it, didn't win a lot of fans due to its design, but this car, which has been designed in consultation with the team at Mazda Australia, certainly looks like most other modern Mazdas. You've got the standard chrome line flowing through, LED headlamps across the range, and that really wide set identifiable Mazda grille. I think you'll agree the car has got a much more macho and working look than the previous generation did. There are 3 wheel sizes available, 16, 17 and 18 inch, and 7 or 8 colour choices in the palette. Now if you think the BT-50 looks like some of the other Mazda range, well it should, as the same designer who penned the CX-9 and Mazda 2 is responsible for the look of the new ute. More importantly though, Mazda Australia were heavily involved with this project, as Australia is one of Mazda's key global markets, meaning the BT-50 has essentially been developed just for us. Well, let's start with some of the big news. If you're familiar with the current BT-50, you would be expecting a 3.2 litre 5-cylinder engine under there that's shared with the Ford Ranger. This car changes things up a bit. This is a 3 litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel that comes from the Isuzu D-Max. It's the upgraded version of the 4JJ1. Now that engine has a terrific reputation for reliability and fuel economy, but the power and torque have both been upgraded. Where we're used to having 130 kilowatts and 430 newton meters, the new car has 140 kilowatts and 450 newton meters. The current model Isuzu D-Max has a claimed combined cycle consumption of just 7.9 litres per 100 kilometres. With the enhancements to the engine and drivetrain, we'd expect the new BT-50 to be similar. Right, well down here it's pretty standard double cab ute. The tub, there's 4 tie-down points. It is basically the same as what you'll find in the current BT-50 and in most other utes in this class. Around 1.5 metres long, a bit over 1 metre wide between the arches and around 50 centimetres deep. Now Mazda say that the car will launch with an accessories pack, so expect to see tub liners, sports bars and things of the like happening back here when the car hits showrooms. Now while we are here, I will say it's running drum brakes. It is a double cab working ute after all, and has a 3-leaf suspension pack underneath. There's a 1-ton payload as well. Now you've got a reverse camera here, parking sensors here, because safety is a big part of this car, and we'll check out more of that inside, and of course a 3.5-ton tow rating. Let's check out the interior because that's where the game has really lifted. With double cab utes being a strong family-focused vehicle these days, the back seat is almost as important as the front seats. So space-wise, this seat is in my driving position. I'm 6'3" and I have stacks of room. My knees aren't even touching it, my toes have got room, my hair's not even touching the roof. So impressive in that way. In terms of creature comforts for you, you've got vents, there's a USB point here, there are even speakers on the roof. And you may notice there's a black headliner in the car, something that we've only really seen in sporting models that really kind of lifts the premium appeal. But the biggest thing to notice are these seats. The leather is really comfy and really soft. It's very similar in feel to the CX-30, although I will say this is probably a bit more hard wearing. But in terms of being a working truck and straight out of the box comfort, it feels pretty great. Let's check out the front. All right, well up here, it's still really comfortable. This seat is power adjustable and even has lumbar support. The steering wheel has got height and reach adjustment, which, just locking that off, Ford Ranger doesn't get, so that's actually really good. You've got standard things, auto headlights, auto wipers, but looking around the cabin, there's some pretty good storage too. Now we know Mazda has a very strong safety approach to their normal everyday road cars. The new BT-50 is no exception. This car comes with autonomous emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, a lane departure warning, blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alert, and of course the rear camera that I mentioned before. That's a pretty solid set of safety equipment in a working ute. Let's hope to see across the range that Mazda bundles this in standard. We don't want to see too many of those things being an option. Now, while we're talking about equipment, you've got dual zone climate control here, which is pretty good, and the switches are a really nice feel, lifted in part from some of the Mazda road cars. But you may also notice that the touchscreen here is not MZD Connect. Why? Well, Mazda say the rotary dial and button situation that we know from MZD, along with the setback screen that works in road cars, doesn't suit the working nature of the Ute. Here, you're bouncing around, you're off-road, you want a large format touchscreen that's right there and easy to reach in front of you. Relatively fair, but it's not as good as MZD Connect, and I think that lets it down a bit. It is a generic system. It's well featured, you've got DAB radio, AM, FM, there's a native navigation system in there, but it's not as nice to use as the integrated Mazda system. It's just not as premium. For the rest of the cabin, it's a little bit disappointing, so we hope to see that change as the Ute sort of enters and matures in market. Plus, the volume changes. Sounds like Mario Land. You would turn that off on day one, and there's no knob to turn down the radio, which kind of defeats the whole point of having an easy to use system when you have to tap a button to do things. So this isn't so great. The rest of the cabin though is pretty impressive. Well, there you have it, our first look at the 2021 BT-50. Now, a few extra things before we go. This colour is called Concrete Grey, and it's one of two that are exclusive to the BT-50. There should be around 8 colour choices in all. The car, when it launches, as I said before, will come with some accessories, so we sort of hope to see flares, nudge bars, sports bars, maybe a roof cage all coming, because I imagine this thing will look pretty toughened up. But so far, I've got to say, it's pretty impressive. Cars will arrive later this year when we'll get a chance to drive them, tow with them, load them up and see how well they perform on-road and off. But as far as first impressions go, for the all-new BT-50, it's certainly looking pretty impressive. Now, you can stay up to date with all of our latest information about the BT-50 or other Utes by subscribing to the CarAdvice YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon so that you get a notification every time a new video publishes, and hit us up with your comments below about what you would like to know about this car, so that when we do get a chance to spend more time with it, we can answer your questions on the spot.